This is Every Widow Thing.
My name is Whitney, and I'm here with the lovely Holly and my great friend, Deb Pilcher. Corbett. She just got married, so I forget that new last name, and we're going to get into that. But I wanted to have Deb on the show because when I was first a widow, like, I don't even know, maybe like a month in or a couple weeks in, a good friend of mine, it's his cousin, Deb is his cousin, and she was a widow. Maybe 3 years widow,
I think so.
or something?
Yeah, 2, 3.
And he was like, I don't know, maybe she can help. And boy, did she ever. We talked forever. We hit it off immediately. And she was such an inspiration to me early on. So I've been dying to have her on the podcast. Ironically, we actually started a podcast, Deb and I, right before the pandemic. And then the shit hit the fan in many ways. There was the pandemic, and then you had your health issues, and it just got away from us. So I'm super excited to have her here. I'm very excited for you guys to hear her story and her outlook during her grief journey. I think you're really going to get a lot out of it. So thank you, Deb, for being here.
I'm so excited you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I know you're nervous, but there's nothing to be nervous about. You've told your story many, many times. So let's just start there. You know, share with us your grief journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say my grief journey probably started 26 years ago when my husband, Wally, and I gave birth to our first daughter, and she was stillborn. We did go on and we had 3 more children. We had Jacob, Matthew, and Rebecca. And then in 2015, Wally was reunited with our daughter, Anna, when he was killed by a drunk driver. And Jacob was actually in the car with Wally, but he survived. And he was 15 at the time. And then Matthew was 12 and Rebecca was 9. And 2 years after that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and went through treatments and surgeries and got the all clear. And then 5 years after that, the cancer came back. And so,
it's been
I'm a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm super fun.
Yes.
No, it's crazy. And we've talked about this on the podcast before. Like, you kind of think, okay, this horrific thing has happened.
Enough. Nothing else can happen.
Yeah. So I'm done. Like this, I got check mark on that box, and nothing else terrible is going to happen. And, you know to have to go through, to have to go through the death of your daughter, and then that's got to be like the worst possible thing. And then have to go through the death of your husband. And tell everyone a little bit about Wally. You guys met early and got married early.
Yes, we met in college. Yeah. We were probably 20, maybe, or 19 when we started dating, and we got married at 22, and we were married for 20 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and it was great. I mean, it was, we did grieve Anna, and we did it in different ways, of course, but it brought us, closer together. And, and again, we thought we kind of done it, and I do remember when I basically got a phone call. It was a Sunday morning, and we were dividing and conquering because we had so many kids. That we were
that's what you do.
And I got a phone call, and Wally had taken Jacob to San Antonio for a soccer game. And I got this phone call, and it said, and the person on the phone told me that there had been an accident, that I needed to get to Dell Children's right away, and that Wally didn't survive.
Oh my gosh.
They told you on the phone.
They told me on the phone. And
who?
I'm not sure. It was the hospital, because I recognized on the caller ID it was the hospital. And so I assumed.
That is horrible.
I know.
That they would tell you that, because nobody told you anything, right, Holly?
No.
Before you got to the hospital?
No, nobody. No, I didn't. I got to the hospital, and I was like, I got to Dell, because Zach was taken to Dell. And I'm like, well, where would Toby be? Where would Toby be? And all my, there were other families involved.
And nobody at that point knew that Toby had died.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
But to get that phone call
Oh,
that's awful.
I mean, how do you even process that?
Well, I don't think I did.
How did you even like drive yourself to the hospital?
I didn't. I had a friend take me, but I remember my friend and it was one of those things where they called and they said, we're not getting off the phone with you until you call a friend. And that person needs to come to your house. So I'm on with whoever was talking to me and I gave her my friend Laura's phone number. And then that person kept me on the phone and told Laura, I can't tell you anything, but you need to get over to the Pilcher house. And then she came.
Oh, okay.
And so I did not drive myself. I don't remember a whole lot.
I'm sure it was.
I do remember that the way Rebecca, so she was 9 at the time. And I remember she was downstairs eating and she heard me. I guess, who knows what I was saying on the phone. You don't process that.
No, you're in shock immediately.
And so she just looked at me and I still am haunted by her face. And she looked at me and she goes, Daddy's dead. And then she ran upstairs and told my middle one, Matthew. So it was just, I wish I had like in my mind, I'd have this gentle way to tell them, like as a mom, you want to protect and you want to, not that there's a great way to say, your dad's dead, but I feel like you
got robbed of that.
I did. Well, and I feel like I failed in that way. I was like, oh my gosh, but at the same time, it is what it's what it was. And
that surprises me though, that they told you over the phone. So how was your son?
So yeah, he was broken, like his body was broken and he had, 3 brain bleeds and his pelvis was broken, his jaw was broken and he had his little body was broken. But, overall, like within, I would say the first 2 days he was in the ICU, they kept saying these injuries are survivable. Right. So I just hung on to those words,
I'm sure you had this situation I had with my son. When did he he didn't know about his dad.
Oh no. Yes. Oh no, you had the same. Yes. And so Jacob had a traumatic brain injury, so he couldn't even like draw a clock. Like if you asked,
so he wasn't consciously.
So when did he find out that his dad died?
Well, he kept asking me and I kept telling him and then we would all re-grieve. And so finally the doctors were like, just stop. So he'd say, will you have dad bring up my charger? And I'd be like, yep, he's gonna, and then and honestly, I can't remember because he spent 2 weeks in the hospital and I don't remember exactly when it started to stick with him. But I know that Wally's mom had a part in that because she's just very, she's just good with words and gentle. And somehow I think she was the one who ended up, helping him understand. But yeah, the doctors were like, it's torturing you. It's torturing him.
But it's also torture to say, yeah, your dad's going to bring up your charger. Like when you wish so badly that he could bring up the charger.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't have to go too much into the accident, but it was a drunk driver and
a head on. And the drunk driver was driving I feel like they had 10, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like there were 9 or 10 calls to 911 that people saw. It was on 130.
Because he was going the wrong way on the freeway.
He was going north on the southbound lanes of 130.
And it was on a Sunday
morning. Yeah. Well, they say a lot of Saturday nighters will leave. And it was like 6 a.m. or something.
Yeah, that's same with like Kira's accident.
So yeah. And it was like on a curve, on a hill, and Wally was super defensive. So I know that if he had seen it, but it just took everybody by surprise. So it was head on 130. And so, but it was it was all these, I don't know, it's just crazy how it was really like a strike of lightning for all the things to come together and have that accident. But then there was also an EMS crew. They were going down to the Circuit of the Americas. And so they were behind the accident and they were there before 911 could even be called. And and actually one of the paramedics ended up being one of our dear friends. And he was able to he and his partner got Jacob out of the car because he was trapped under the airbag.
Blessing. They were there and saved him.
Yeah. It's also a blessing, I think, to know that someone was there right away and Wally had died.
Well, he was still alive at this point.
Oh, well then shit.
No, that's okay. But this is
never mind.
No. He was still alive. And in some ways, and actually the the paramedic his name is Walter, and he was just such a gift to us, but he was the one that was with him when he died. And
was he able to talk or anything? Or
he wasn't, but he was still, they were just doing what Walter called, I think he said, it's not compatible with life.
It's not life-saving.
Right. It was just making comfortable. And so, but what he said was like when they first came upon the accident, it had just happened, and said that they didn't even know Jacob was in the car because he's 15, but he was we have small kids. He was kind of small.
Oh my God.
And he was in the front seat. And so he's under the airbag. And so they didn't even know that they just thought there were the two drivers. And Walter says he started to walk away and he heard a sound come from Wally, but it wasn't like he wasn't able to talk, but it was a sound. And so he came back to see that, okay, Wally is alive. And then at that point, Jacob started fighting with the airbag. And then you can, and then basically they go around and they slash the airbag and they get Jacob out. And he never went into a coma. But he was like, Walter said he never really opened his eyes and he was just a fight or flight the whole time. Like and as the good mom, I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry.
Oh, right.
I'm like, oh, he was fighting for you. Okay. Fighting you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Does he ever, do you know if he remembers any of it?
I don't. Have you asked your son?
No.
Well, I've asked, and he has said that he remembers the morning of, he remembers what he ate, and then he remembers the hospital. So I think a lot of that in between.
The trauma.
Zach
has done therapy early on with me in the room, and it was kind of a similar thing. Like they drove through Sonic, and he remembers the before, and then remembers being at the hospital.
And there's only a few things like he said to me. Now I will say this was just heart-wrenching. So he was strapped into his tubes everywhere, and he's like strapped into the bed because he was in fight or flight. So he kept like
fighting,
trying to get out. And so he was strapped in, and they had to, because of the brain bleeds, they needed to sedate him. So he was sedated for a while. When they decided to bring him, they needed to see how the brain bleeds were affecting him. They brought him they brought him out of sedation. And the first thing he did was he sat straight up, his arms are still bound, and he just screamed, "Dad."
Oh my God.
And then the only other thing he indicated was he said, and he was like all jumbled, like he was put on a suicide watch. Like his brain was all like he was
not himself at all.
No, of course not. And so, but one thing he did say, he said, "Mom, why did they slash the tires? They slashed the tires on the car." And I'm thinking it was the airbag. Like that's his one thing that he told me. But then I asked him and he doesn't remember telling me that. So I always pray he doesn't remember, because I thought, how scary would that be to look over and see your dad and your friends?
So
I don't know.
In those first few days and then weeks, and then obviously we go into months and years, but in those first few weeks, what was keeping you together? Do you know, or was it just purely adrenaline and shock?
It was denial. Like I did not talk about Wally. Like I was Jacob's mom, and Jacob was alive, and that was my focus.
So you didn't even go into that area of dead husband?
No. And I have a sweet friend, and she said she came up. I don't remember this, but she came up and she said, she looked at me and she just started to cry, and she said, "Wally." And I shut her down.
Yeah, you're like, I can't deal with that.
And I said, "Jacob's alive. Everything is survivable. Yeah. He's going to be fine." And I apparently told her to leave. Like, I guess I told her in a nice way. I think I was like, "Okay, thanks for coming," but I couldn't.
You're full on focused on Jacob.
And it was like my survival, I think, was to do that. So, and it's real fuzzy. Yeah. I mean, it's so fuzzy when you've experienced something.
When you're just worried about your child, and then you're worried about your other kids.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like I was so focused on, okay, well, who's with Gabe?
Yeah. The family came and we did too. And we had I had this network of people who just my friends and family just dropped their lives to pick up the pieces of ours. And so I'm so grateful for that. And I couldn't have done any of this by myself. And it was like, I had someone there doing all kinds of things at all times. And it was really helpful because he was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And so I stayed.
I'm surprised that he wasn't in there longer.
I know.
I mean, the major injuries.
Well, and once the bleeding stopped in his brain, and then they realized, okay, so that's because it wasn't a matter of would his brain swell? It was like, to what extent? Would he need surgery? That was like the big thing in the beginning. And then they stopped bleeding, and now everything in its path was, it was all jumbled, and, because you have to rewire the brain, all those things. But, and then his body, he was a little athlete. So, I mean, he was in a wheelchair, and then he was like, screw this. And then he's on and then he had a walker, and then he has crutches, and he's just like, no, I'm not messing with any of this.
By the time he got out of the hospital.
Yeah. But the hard part, and he doesn't remember any of this either, was that because he almost like filled the gaps in his mind with like the violent video games that I hated that he played.
Oh, right.
So he was like, he thought people were after him. He thought there was no way out. He was like, and he had a plan to die. Like he had a suicide plan. He had all of these things. And I just needed to keep him safe. And I didn't know what to do. Yeah. And so when he first got home, it was one of those things where, I slept outside his door, and I figured, well, he's slow enough. I mean, he's in a walker. I was I can hear him. Yeah. I'm like, so I just slept outside his door, and, we took all the knives and all the things away. And, so I feel like that was so true. Like I didn't even start grieving Wally until, I'm not even sure.
Probably around the time that you and I met, maybe even like.
Well, no, I think it was earlier. It was because I was 2015. Were you 2017?
17.
Yeah. So I would say like Jacob was like, I would say he started like as soon as he came out of that suicide part.
Yeah.
He started to, like, I feel like things started to he finally went back to school. I think he went back to school maybe around Christmas or something, and so I think things kind of settled. And I would say come January, I was like, oh yeah, I'm on my own and I have a dead husband.
Yeah. I remember like in the hospital, my mom was like, well, when are we going to have the funeral? And I'm like, I have no idea when I'm damn ready to have the funeral. It's like I wasn't even thinking about that.
Oh yeah.
That was one thing that I was stressing about, because I think older people, they're so used to like the parents and stuff. They're used to everybody has a funeral and everyone gets buried. And now that's not the case.
Right.
And I remember being really stressed about it. And Todd, her cousin and my friend, was like, you need to talk to Deb, because I remember that they waited a while before they had anything for Wally, and it was more of a memorial, and it was happy. Exactly. It was a celebration of life. It wasn't this sad, dark, get in your suits.
Our lives are so like similar, like our paths are so similar, because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk a minute about the fact that your husband dies on the road.
Mm-hmm.
You are at the hospital with your son who's severely injured. What happens to Wally? Because I know in Holly's case, she never saw her husband again. She didn't ever, it was like, she didn't even know where he was, nothing. Same thing with Kira.
I didn't. And but apparently somebody asked me if I wanted to see him. Did anybody ask you?
No, not that I remember.
Okay. Well, I don't remember it either, but someone told me, oh yeah, they asked you. And I said no. And I was like, sounds interesting that I would say no, but maybe. I don't know. Like, I have no idea.
I don't know with the husband, but they asked if I wanted to see my dad when he passed away. And I said, absolutely not. Like, and they set it up, and I don't know how they would do it if you'd have to go in to a morgue situation, but like at the funeral home, they set it up like he's asleep in a bed, which I was like, that is so disturbing.
Right.
Like I was just, we've talked about it over the years, like when we started doing the podcast, and I'm like, well, didn't somebody have to identify him? I don't,
I actually asked that same question, but then I got his ID and stuff back. So his wallet. So I guess that was, I don't know. But
it's very strange because my dad's wife died like 8 months after he died. And she died in a nursing facility or like a rehabilitation center where they knew who she was. She died in her room, and someone did have to identify her.
Yeah, I don't
know.
I
think
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
but in that moment when you're in shock, and like you said, you didn't even want your friend to talk about the fact that Wally, you're like, I'm focusing on, and this is something that I remember when I spoke with you, that was so inspiring. It's like, I'm going to be grateful, first of all, and we've talked about this, 20 years with the man, what a gift. And I'm not going to why would I sit in that right now when I have this son who is alive? I'm going to focus on him and his recovery. Otherwise, you could just go down deep into a depression. You know, you needed to fight for your kid, but you made a conscious choice. In my mind, at least, I remember you presenting it like this. Can you talk about that at all? About
I actually have
choice of
I have this example. So I think about this, and I just thought about this just the other day. But so he died in September, and it was like around Veterans Day and Facebook. Anyway, so I'm watching this montage of soldiers being reunited with their kids, and which, thank you for your service. I love that soldiers are being reunited with their kids. But I watched this whole thing with the sad song, and I'm just bawling, and I'm mad, and I'm like, I am never going to have that. The kids will never have that with their dad.
They'll never have that reunion coming home.
And I can only explain this as a gift from Wally or God in my faith tradition. I'm not sure, but all of a sudden I had this picture in my mind. Mm-hmm. I told you about this one. So it's like, I was never on the accident scene, so I don't know what it looked like, but I have made it up in my own mind of what it would look like because I watched enough TV. And from what our friend Walter, the paramedic, told us was that Wally stayed alive until Jacob rode away in the ambulance. And so in my mind, I have this picture of, and this is the picture that was, I think, given to me as a gift. Mm-hmm. And I see the ambulance driving away, and I see Wally healthy out of the car. And then I see Anna as a young girl, and they run together and have this glorious reunion. And so we have, since that time, we've always called the anniversary of the accident reunion day, the day Anna and Wally were reunited. And that is a way to, like, I felt like I was able to reframe. So even though Jacob, Matthew, and Rebecca are not going to have that reunion for a very long time, hopefully, right? They have that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like this, it was able to be grateful and know that they have that.
I like what you said, the perception, it gave you a new perception of what actually, like, instead of having a memory of just like, tragedy on the road, you were given this picture of this amazing reunion. Yeah. And it changed the way you looked at that scene. And that is, I think, one of the things that we're trying to do here on the podcast, just across the board, is wherever you are in your grief journey right now, and especially those widows that are in the very beginning, and they are just devastated and cannot, some of them that we hear from can't even breathe. Yeah. To know that, that is not your forever moment. Mm-hmm. And there will be moments of joy and laughter and even like, inappropriate humor. And yeah,
I am the queen of that.
And just hold on, but also maybe turn things around a little bit and think of things in a different way. You talking about with me back when I was newly widowed about the gifts that you were given made me start thinking, I also was given so many gifts. And I feel like we talked a lot about signs.
We did.
And the things that we were, the gifts that we were given. And, it's very hard to see them when you're deep down in that depression and grief. But there really are so many. And I think every person gets them. They just don't see them right away necessarily. But a gift that you gave to me was reminding me to look for them now, and like, I did get to be with, all three of us, you, Holly, and I all met our husbands at like 19, we're together for a very long time, longer than some marriages, and it's heartbreaking to know that our kids don't have their father, but a great father for some time versus a horrible father for a long time, like I had. No offense, Dad. He knows now. But it was such an inspiration at that time in my life to be connected with you. You also brought a lot of humor. And I think you were writing a book.
I was.
When we first started meeting, and tell us what the name of that book was going to be. I thought it was so funny.
Gosh.
Do you remember?
Yes. And my mother was horrified. It was called What Are the Fucking Passwords?
Isn't that a great?
It was, and my little
Deb,
mom, she's like, oh, I don't think you should use that word, little Italian mom. Anyway, it's so funny. But yeah, and I haven't finished it, but it is because I didn't have any passwords. When he died, I had nothing, like not a single password. And I was like, seriously, and
luckily my husband used the same password, which was Gabe's name and birthday. I'm like, ooh, that was original, but thank God at the time. And now if I die, no one will know what the fucking passwords are.
Because they're all different. Yeah, you can't have the same one.
That's right. So yeah, and there is so much humor in it. And we had to find humor because if you don't, like, it's just, there's so many things that that's a gift to be able.
You have to be able to lighten a moment because there's so many heavy moments, even in the hospital. Something like a weird humor thing will happen. Like, and I think it's a gift.
Okay. Let me tell you the story.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed to say the story, but I have to. So I told you about the call. Mm-hmm. We're standing around. I feel like Matthew ran down the street at one point, comes back. I'm not sure. I think I threw up at some point. Like, it's all jumbled in my mind, but there's this moment that's frozen and we're standing there, and I had gotten, I think I had my purse and I was like ready to go. And I'm standing right in front of our stairs, and Matthew, who's 12, and Rebecca is 9. And we're standing there, and Rebecca, or Matthew says to me, Mom, are we going to be a family of 3 now? And I said, baby, I don't know. And then Rebecca goes, don't worry, Mommy, we'll find you a new husband so we have money. And I was like, son of a, and I stopped her and I looked at her and I was like, I don't even know what I said, but I was like, I have to go right now. But when I get back, I'm going to talk to you about women and the role of women and women's rights and how I have failed you as a role model, as a woman, and I can make money. I was like, I'm like, I can make money. And so, but we all laughed because my reaction was just like, you don't think I can earn what? And I can grill too, anyway. I was just like, I failed you as a mom, but we laughed. Like, the 3 of us laughed, and that's how I left them to go to the hospital. And that
does she remember saying that?
Oh, I've told that story so many times.
She remembers because of that.
Well, this is a perfect segue because I remember talking with you. And again, you were 2 years in, I was newly widowed. And we did talk about dating. And the phrase that stuck out to me was, you were like, I can't even think about dating. I'm still in love with the dead guy.
Yes.
But you are married now.
I am.
You're coming up on a 1-year anniversary, and we should say the 10-year anniversary of reunion.
Yes,
the reunion day. But yeah, you're finishing up your first year of marriage, and he's not a dead guy.
So many questions about that.
You're gonna love this story. So what happened between I'm in love with the dead guy and then fast forward to you saying yes to somebody's proposal?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a journey in itself. That took several years. But
how long did it take you to start
dating again? I would say about 5 years, I think. I think I was, and for a long time, I felt alone, but I didn't feel lonely. Like, I was alone.
Yeah.
And I felt that burden of the alone, because when someone dies, I lost my lunch maker, the person who fixes everything, the person who, you don't just lose a spouse, right? You lose a partner.
Yes,
and I was like, damn it, if you had been a deadbeat dad, this would have been fun. But he did so many things.
Damn it, why did you do so much?
So good to me.
Exactly. So then I was like, really? So you're kind of and so I felt that alone, but I wasn't lonely because I was still so in love with him. And
did you feel him? I'm gonna probably stop a lot, but did you feel him a lot? Is that why you didn't feel alone? Because I felt the same. In some ways, I felt, it sounds so weird, but in the beginning, not now, but in the beginning, I felt so close to Hunter. I really felt him all
right
the
here.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
I did.
And it was a blessing and a curse because I felt so connected to him that it was hard to let go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But also it was just awesome because I was like, in some ways I feel closer to him now than I did when he was alive.
No, I do.
On a spiritual level.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think too, like grief is one of those things I had to get, and I don't know if it's 4 or 5 years, I'm not sure when it took time, but I also had to get through the whole idea of grief and if it's almost like when you stop grieving, I don't know if you felt this way, but like, it's almost like when you're scared to stop grieving because
you don't want to forget them.
Right. And it moves you further away. It's like, we talked about time, like it's like time, obviously softens things, but at the same time, it's kind of a thief because it takes your memories, it takes you what you feel like is taking you away. But the truth was, as I processed my grief, I felt like then I could focus on the positive things. Like I almost got closer by letting some of that grief go and starting to, hold grief and joy together.
Mm-hmm.
And then soon the scales start to tip and you're like noticing more joy, right?
And you can have your memories and it's not so painful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that had to all happen before I was ready to start dating. And I remember telling one of my friends, I just need to go dancing with some stranger. And I was like, I think maybe I'm ready to start dating. I was like, I don't know. And so, and I dated different people, all like gifts in their own way, just a few. And then it was a safe person who was kind and treated me well, but not.
How did you start dating? Like, how did that come about? Like,
a friend was just like, hey, I know someone. And they can, a friend set me up.
Okay.
And, and it was fine. It was nice. And and it was easy and it was just fun. And that's all I could do. That's all I could give. That's all I could do. And
did you let your kids know that you were dating? Or?
I did. Yeah. Oh, I did. And I will tell you.
Right in the beginning?
No, it was when I thought, okay, this is, it's time. And,
Jacob had to be like 19 at that point or something.
Jacob was, yeah. And Jacob wasn't living at home. And so he didn't, and I will say, I think it's harder. I think my current situation in my marriage is hardest on him because he wasn't home when I was dating, whereas the other two were home.
Right.
And it was like, so they kind of got used to the idea, but Jacob is just, he was older, he was involved. And I think it's
in his mind, it's like one day no one was living there and the next day you're moving in.
Someone's moving in with, yeah. So I'm sure he has like a lot and he's always very kind and doesn't ever like, he's super happy for us, but I think that's hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's his own work. Like, I'm like, that's your work to do. I'm not taking that on. I'm like, I still have to live. And I was like, unless you want me to come live with you, you better be happy that I found someone.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, but yeah, so it was about 4 or 5 years. It was very casual, very just easy kind, and then COVID happened and it was just, and it was just kind of like, that
right.
And so, and then I met a second person who was also lovely, but he was moving. And so that was really safe.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was moving and he was wonderful too, but that was also safe because it couldn't be
much.
Yeah, which is exactly
did you meet
what I
friend as well. You never went on the dating apps.
I never did the dating apps. No, I was so lucky. And then, and I'm really grateful, but I have friends that picked Clay up, my husband, picked him up at a bar.
You have to tell the story.
Yeah,
you have to start from the beginning.
I will tell that story. But regardless, my friends were the ones. But it was almost like I look back on my little journey and I'm like, I needed like, they were all there and they were all wonderful, but they were there for such a time as that, it was like, this was, and so I'm super grateful for all the people.
Sure, of course.
And they were, and so it was just, so I was just really lucky because if I had met Clay right away, I mean, I would not have been ready. I mean, I'd have been like, what? No,
No,
so it was
still in love with the dead guy.
I was.
So share the, what do they call it? Cute meat. Is that what they call it in the movies? Anyway. Share your first moments with Clay.
Oh, this is
not sexual moments.
Oh, I won't do that.
Although that would be a great topic. Tell the story.
Okay.
It is crazy.
Yes. We are teachers, and so we made day drink after work because it's very stressful. So we happened to be day drinking at a bar. I was actually not there, but I'm normally there. And I get this, I had to go, I was at home because I had 3 kids that were like, my son was coming home from college, I think, and I was feeding everybody, and we had rats. And I remember this, we had rats in our subfloors. So I was waiting for the Terminex guy, and I had, so I was home, and they're, it's like 3 or 4 right after school. And so, I start getting texts. There's a cute guy at the bar. And this is a bar. It's actually called the Kenny Fort Pub. It's in Round Rock. You should check it out. It's like awesome. A little plug for them. But, we were there, and they were there, and I was at home, and I'm getting texts, and they're like literally taking pictures of him and sending me texts. And I'm like, listen, I can't.
How do they know he's single? Like,
they don't.
So they think it's fun to.
Okay, I want to know why he was at the bar at 3 or 4 o'clock. What is he?
To meet Deb.
Yeah. I would let him tell that story if you ever have him on.
Right.
But he does like to try new places. And so he needed a drink, and he was like, I'm just go to this. But he would tell you. Anyway, so they end up inviting him over. Like he gets up, and they're like, come and join us. They vet him. They Google him. They're like, they look at his, like they did all this legwork. And they spent
all
hours
in the bar at that time.
In the bar.
Can I be there?
I know. You were my friends. Aren't they so sweet?
They need to be a widow dating service.
I know. So, and this is, okay, I'm giving you timelines because it was like several hours. And they keep saying, you need to come up here. And I'm like, look. And then they
You're
text me.
I have rats. I cannot come.
And they said, he is single. Like, they finally get that to me. And I was like, all right, just give my number if you think he's great.
And they sent you his picture, and you thought, oh, he's cute.
Did.
They showed your picture to him.
And he said,
she's good looking.
Well, and he said, he's like, okay, I'm going to go now. And they're like, whoa. We have a friend. And she's single. She's usually with us, but she has rats right now. So, she might come up later if she can, get all that.
The rat situated.
Yeah. And they showed him a picture, and then he always says, I saw the picture, and he says, oh, I'll stay, so he stayed. But anyway, they took him to dinner. They took him to dinner. They traveled with him. I'm like, why would you go with a bunch of teachers?
Yeah. You're getting a
play by play for a long time.
Oh, I don't get to the restaurant until 8 o'clock. And
but this is what I love.
Started at 3 or 4
This is what I love, because I hope you kept that text chain with your friends. Like,
oh my God, I probably did, but I didn't even think about looking for it.
You need to find that and print it out and like display it in your house or something. Although it's multiple hours, but like just a little piece of it.
Oh my gosh, what a great idea.
That is such a hilarious and magical moment.
Well, I want to know, I need to hear. So you get to the restaurant at 8.
Okay.
And all your friends, I mean, they've been drinking for 4 hours.
Gosh. I'm surprised any of them were standing. And it was
same thing with Clay, though. I'm sure he was like very happy.
Yes, he was. He was very pleasant. No. And they had like a seat next to me and next to him so I could sit and all the things. And so it was super cute. And then we just kind of talked, and he was super cute. And I was like, oh, he's really cute. And then, and after like my friends, so we're walking out, and, we're going to exchange numbers or whatever. And my friends are literally in their car to make sure he doesn't kill me and dump my body.
Right.
I watch a lot of true crime. Right. I was like, you're not going to kill me, are you? Dump my body. And so they after the, at the bar, they checked his name, and that he was a good tipper, like all the things. Like they were just so sweet. They pulled up his Facebook page before he'd even left, it's hilarious. So anyway, we exchanged numbers, and then we started dating.
That is, isn't that such a great story?
And at the wedding,
when was that?
That was in 2021 or 22, 21? Oh gosh.
So you dated a couple years.
No, we only dated 1 year, and then we got engaged, and that was a year. And then we just got married, like a year and a half. And then we just got married. So I can't do the back. Maybe it was 22.
Don't make me do math.
I think it was 22.
Let's go with that.
So what was your wedding like? I'm just curious because you just wonder like if I were ever to get married again, but I can't even find anybody to date. So there's that.
No, it was actually really, it was really nice. We just had, we had a little church wedding, and then we had a reception where you could just walk to the reception, and it was hotter than all get out. It was August, but and we're old, so it's like we don't care about all the stuff. So like we walked
you're not
in,
old, you're like barely 50.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, let's go with that. And then but we went into this place, and we were just like, can you just just do it all. Like, and we didn't, in an afternoon, the whole
Just
wedding was
simple.
planned and And so we had, it was really fun. And Rebecca did this really sweet toast because she, she was 9 when Wally died. Mm-hmm. And she, I think out of protection, didn't have a whole lot of memories of him.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming back.
Oh, really? That's good to hear. Because my boys, they weren't 9. They were 11 and 12. And they say they don't have any real memories.
That I think it's a protection thing.
Well, also we moved. So all of their memories are in LA and there's no triggers here.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. But I'm hoping.
It has come back. And I think, and she'll say something like, oh, didn't Dad do this? I'm like, yes. I'm like, oh. Mm-hmm. And so that's been really good. But she has really connected with Clay and they are, and she calls him Dad.
Oh, wow.
And
how does
was he previously married?
He was, and he has kids. They're older and they're in Florida. So, but he is, he treats her, just beautifully. And
I know I was kind of asking you a couple of questions when we went to lunch the other day and it's almost unfair to, talk about it on the podcast kind of because people are hoping to get some help with their issues when they're starting to date and bringing in to the family and dealing with, memories of the husband and putting the husband on a pedestal and all that. But you've said that Clay has had no issues with any of that.
It's been it
hasn't been difficult to merge
Is he
the two?
Divorced?
Mm-hmm.
And how's his relationship with his ex?
No, not good. No. So he's kind of he was able to kind of step into our.
Yeah. Well, because his kids are older. So there's not any, I feel like.
Right. You don't have, there's not competition of when he's my
kids are all kind of the same age. And
exactly. So I think that was definitely easier. I think too, and I've been trying to make sure that I tell my kids, I know you probably do the same thing, but like, it's very easy to be, admiring of the dead parent. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, and I remember one time, like Jacob was talking to me and he's like, oh, I'm really patient. I must get that from Dad. And I was like, what? He was not patient at all. He threw scissors. Not at anyone. I was like, he's not patient. But no, I was like, he's not patient. I was the patient one. I'm the one here. I'm like, he's in paradise. And I'm stuck in this hellhole raising you three. I was like, oh, it's me. It's me, And so it's like they do that. So I try to remind my kids that although he's one of the greatest men I've ever known, he was an asshole sometimes. And so can I be. I can as well.
Yes, it's easy, especially for the kids to put them on a pedestal.
Yes.
And so I like to share stories of assholery as well.
Yes. And just so that, because I don't want Rebecca looking for this person that is going to be a perfect partner. And I certainly don't want the boys thinking that they have to be this perfect person that they thought their dad was, who he wasn't.
Right.
And so I just feel like, so I think that's really important. I'm not sure where we got off on that, but I'm just saying it's important.
I was actually saying, I found it interesting because I was like, oh, well, how, I struggle in my relationship with even like, I just had my 30th wedding anniversary. And yes, I still acknowledge it. Okay. And you can fuck off if you think that's weird.
Should.
Like, I still acknowledge it.
Well, I acknowledge we both just had our 30th.
I just had my 30th too.
See, we're
in July.
Similar.
I know, in July.
Yeah.
It was June. 30.
Mine was June.
So I did this whole post with just pictures of Hunter and I from, but I didn't tell Ryan, the guy that I'm seeing, I didn't tell him that it was my anniversary. I didn't mention that I had just done this long montage or anything.
Did he see it?
He did see it. He didn't say anything until maybe like a week later. And it wasn't like, I saw that and it was really sweet. It was more like, in passing, like, well, when you had those pictures up, I don't know. It wasn't like I gave him a heads up. I didn't say, this is my wedding anniversary. I didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. And so I was asking you questions at lunch, like, well, how's it going? Like, is it weird trying to navigate dead husband and new husband?
Yeah, like how
and are there any jealousy or weirdness or awkwardness? And you were saying, no, there's not.
It's more internal for me. I feel like he's super chill though. He's like, I don't know if he's like abnormal or if that's normal, but he's just really relaxed.
So did he move into your house?
He moved into our house where we are and
where Wally lives.
Yeah.
So what about like photos.
And he's like, don't take them down. Don't take anything down. Don't you just, this is your house with your children. And, and so he never.
Wow. Does he have a brother?
2 sisters.
That's single and cute.
Yeah, I know. So sweet. But I don't know. He's just like, and then as time went on, I was like, this is something I probably I had our wedding picture up. I'm like, I'm going to take that down. And so it was more me,
certain
right?
Things I could see.
I took a couple of Hunter's pictures down. Ryan doesn't live with me, but I put some pictures of Ryan and I up, and
I did that too. I did that too, right? I added to it, and
you would. I mean, 30 years.
And when somebody else comes into your family, when you have an in-law or your grandchild or whatever. And so we just added. But what I will say is I'm the one that struggled more. Now, if he struggled, he didn't share it with me.
I don't think they feel like they can, not to say that he was probably struggling, but I think Ryan, and I shouldn't speak for him, but I would assume, it has to be hard to see the girl that you're dating, or married to, do a whole montage of this life that she had before with another man that will always love.
Yeah.
But he's not coming back, so you don't need to worry.
Yeah.
But on some level, it almost is, I hate to even say it in case Ryan listens to this, but it's like,
well, it's like he's jealous of the relationship you had that he never had.
And there may be some,
but that doesn't mean he can't have it now.
Right. But there may be some weird thought process where it's like, oh, if a miracle could happen and this dead guy came back to life, I would be second. There has to be, well, I guess there doesn't, but I would think that there would be moments of oh, wow, I've stepped into someone else's life.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why maybe you get a little bit aware of it.
And I'm the one though that I feel, and I need to ask him, but every time I ask him, he says, cause he's very close to my mother-in-law. So Wally's mom is just,
I was going to ask about the in-laws.
So his dad passed away, but his mom is just, I want to be her when I grow up. I'm like, I want to be you as a grandma. I just adore her. And she loves Clay like a son. And she spoke at our wedding. She has
sweet.
Just,
awesome.
And so that is just, and in the beginning, I remember her thinking, well, if you date someone, you're going to leave me and you're going to take the kids, and she was always so nervous. Right. And she was like, you shouldn't date until, all your kids are gone and all, and I didn't wait that long. But she was with me every step, and she just totally, and so
want you to be
I love
happy.
that you're so close to her.
I do too. I know. I'm so lucky.
She embraced taking care of you.
She did. We kind of took care of each other, right? And we grieved in different ways, but it was so good. And, and the kids are very, protective of her. And just, anyway, it's so wonderful, because I think in some situations, if one of the spouses dies, you could lose your grandkids. If you're the
well, sure. Yeah.
You're close to Hunter's.
I am
parents.
so close to them, and I love them. And I hope they live forever, because I can't imagine it would be losing Hunter again.
You do. And that's when Wally's dad died. The kids lost another, just another piece of
their father.
I hate to say it, but our dog has cancer.
Oh,
this is not funny. No, I'm not laughing because that's very twisted, but I'm just we got Lucy, our dog, 2 years before Wally died. And she just turned 12. Actually, no, her birthday's tomorrow. She turns 12, but she has liver cancer, and she's probably not gonna be around very long. But all the kids have said to me, gosh, it's like another piece of dad dying.
Yeah.
As we both went through that.
We've lost our pets. Yes.
Pearl died a year ago. And it was, Zach, my youngest was 5 when we got her. So it was, when we had to put her down, I was just a mess. But then I was like, go run with Toby.
Yes, I love that. Again, thinking about
changing
it as
the perception of it.
Just changing it. Yeah. But I just really quickly to go back to when I was struggling with it, I had this moment, and Matthew was graduating from high school. So I don't even know what year that was. He was graduating from high school, and I had just fallen in love with Clay. I was at this point where because I never thought I would meet anyone, never thought I would marry anyone. I never thought, whatever. And I am in love with this man. And he was in our backyard and he was standing there. And this happened all at once. And I thought my brain was going to explode. I like look over at Matthew and I'm like devastated because Wally is not there. He's in his cap and gown and he is not there to see it. And then I look over at Clay and I'm like, I love you. Oh my God. I was like, I can't. And like my head just went, oh.
Yeah.
So I have had those. And then, but what I've learned is, and Clay's been really good about this, I can hold them both. And I can have them both and feel them both. And it's okay. And I remember him like, I started to cry and he just looked at me and I was like, I'm going to explode, and he just held me and he was like, and that's the thing he'll say. He's like, I don't know what you need right now. And he's a huge hugger. He has a shirt that says, careful, I'm a hugger, like he's a big hugger. And so he'll hug and he'll just hug me because he doesn't know what to do. And on our my 30th anniversary, he was like, I don't know what you need, but let me know. I don't know what you need for this day.
So did you like sit down and go, okay, so here are some important dates that you need to know. This is the reunion day with Wally and Anna. This is our anniversary. This is his birthday. Like, I mean, that's just when does that stuff get brought up?
Oh, thank you. I did it as it came. I didn't like sit down with a list. I didn't sit down with a list, but I did tell him, hey, but also like Wally's birthday, it's coming up.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, his birthday's coming up. The kids and I are going to do this. We're going to get with Melissa. Come and join us. So we just sort of brought him into those things.
Yeah.
And then like reunion day is just
we're pouring
yes,
drinks.
We are.
Because we glug 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 glug.
Day drinking again.
That's right. Well, when you're talking about just such, it's nerve-wracking getting in front of a microphone and then it's nerve-wracking having to talk through the trauma and then so we like
having some bubbles.
We like to lubricate a little bit with champagne, but I just had to laugh for a second. Sorry, because Holly's going around and I hear
I'm trying to be quiet about it.
You did so great.
You were quiet. The champaign was not.
And then I was like,
it might not even,
And then I was like, thank you.
I know. You're like, thank you. So, anyway, sorry. I totally interrupted that train of thought.
I think as people, as we are getting, I think it's our natural tendency. And I have a lot of, I don't know why I have so many widow friends, but I do. Do y'all find that?
I feel like that.
I know we're getting older, but like young widow friends.
No, I feel like there are a lot of young. There are a lot of young widows. Yes,
and I don't know if it's like
we're just more aware.
When way back when we got pregnant and like you start noticing all the pregnant people. I'm like, why are so many men dying?
Yeah.
Right. No, I feel like, and people that
tragically,
I know people that I know though, like I'm close to, and I'm like, what is happening? And now I feel like, and we've talked about this too, I feel like part of what keeps Wally's memory alive for me is to offer hope. Like I feel like that. So when my friends have lost their spouses, that's like, I feel like
purpose.
Use me, right? Use me to say the wrong things and do the wrong, but at least be there, right? And to sit in that uncomfortable, right? Because I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. Like I feel like I'm uncomfortable.
I think that's the hardest thing. And I tell people the same thing, like just be there and say something, say, I don't know what to say, but be there.
Yeah. It's society's nature to try to get rid of the sadness and the grief. Oh, if someone's crying, even a kid, you run over and you go, don't cry. It's okay. Instead of just sitting with it and go, yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's like we try as a society to stop the feeling of sadness because it makes them uncomfortable. Yeah. That's what one of the reasons why we were doing the podcast too, is we want to talk openly about grief. And that's why I say my husband's dead instead of I lost my husband or my late husband. He passed away. No, he's fucking dead.
Right.
And guess what? You're going to have death in your life at some point. So let's just get it out there and make it normal.
Right.
Normalize the feelings because I'm going to cry sometimes out of the blue. Still do. Almost 8 years in, I still have moments, where just like you said, you'll see something and you'll be like, Wally should be here. Hunter should be here. And then I have to try to change my perception and go, he is here. It's just not in a physical form that I can see, but he is 100% here. He is not missing one thing. Mm-hmm. But we want that physical body.
Yeah. I was thinking too, like one thing that I remember telling my kids, because when your kids are younger and you're going to start dating again, and like one of the things I did was and I felt really strongly about this, and I don't know if it's my faith tradition. I don't know if it's just that Wally made me feel this way, but like, I just really believed if anybody came into our lives, and I told the kids that if anybody comes into our lives, just rest assured that your father brought them, whoever it was. And so I kind of approached it that way. And I think that made me feel better because, I mean, you want to talk about weird. Getting married again is like on my wedding day. This is actually a really funny story. Matthew, my middle one, went to the cemetery. I can't remember if it was around a significant day or he was just there, but we were there together. And he's standing with me and he's like, oh, I wish Dad were here. And I was like, I know. And he goes, then he could meet, his girlfriend's name is Finley, could meet Finley. And then he could be at Jacob and Kayleen's wedding and he'd meet Clay. And I looked at him and I go, well, that would be awkward. And he goes, oh, right. We don't want that. That would be weird. But that's, it's like, that's what we were both holding. Like, right. We're like, oh my gosh, and so, but it's weird to get, because it's, again, I'm like, Wally should be here. Wait, if Wally were here, I would not be getting married. Right. Otherwise, we'd be in a different kind of relationship. So, but it is like you're trying to hold all of those things. And I think it's normal to feel all that. And it's okay. And I think having one doesn't mean you're letting go of the other, right? You can just hold them both. And I think that that's scary, but it is possible. Mm-hmm. And,
what would you tell yourself knowing what you know now and the widow that you are now? And do you still consider yourself a widow?
You know what? I started putting, because like doctors.
Yeah, you do both.
No, actually, I just put married.
Oh.
I know. I don't know about doing both, but I would always check, it'd be like widow, and check that. That's like the only place I think of checking it. But yeah, it was like the doctors.
Why do they even want to know?
I don't know. It seems none of their business.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I don't know.
It is an odd thing.
So, but no,
maybe we should write that out next to it.
Why do you
care?
Yeah, I love to check the widow box. Like, I like them to know I've been through some shit. Like, they should have a box for, have any of your children been in rehab, and have any of your children, ignored you today, or has your, mother annoyed you, whatever. Like, I want you to know every single thing I've been dealing with. So I like to check the box.
You tell them, Whitney.
Oh, I do. I was just at the doctor today and I think I scared her. But that's a different story. No, I was going to say, knowing everything that you know now, what would you be telling yourself as a new widow?
Well, what do I tell my friends when she all of a sudden, and I would say, one, kids are really resilient. Mm-hmm. And I know it can go anyway, but I just think kids are resilient. I think you have to, I blame myself for a lot of things. And it's like, you have to give yourself grace, because we're not going to do it right. We're not going to do all the things that we wish we could do. Like, you're just doing the best you can. So I would do that. I would also, it's like, people always say, like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, you kind of have to.
You don't have a choice.
I would say that's not really a good thing to tell somebody, because you're like, you don't have a choice. And some people will say you do have a choice. And I'm like,
well, you have a choice on how you do it.
Yes.
You have to do something, but you could be a totally absent parent and crying all the time and never get your shit together. Mm-hmm. Or you could be a parent that, is focused on just everybody's in therapy, even if people don't want forcing things, or you can be the parent. There are choices within it. But I would say just relax a little bit, and just because it's almost like I felt like everything I did, like I remember standing in front of the cereal, like I felt like everything I did was so important. Mm-hmm. I'm not that powerful, but I like to tell myself I am. But I was standing in front of the cereal and I was like, if I get this cereal, they're going to have cavities, and this is what am I doing? And I thought, okay, this is ridiculous. But it was almost like I was so out of control that I was trying to control so much. And so I think, and I was so worried. I was like, it's really, being a parent is such a huge, just a huge responsibility. And actually I got a really sweet text from my middle one just for Mother's Day. He's the one who never, I'm like, proof of life, I need to know your life. But he sent a text and he was like, Happy Mother's Day. And, oh no, it was for Father's Day.
Happy Mother's Day and Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day too, because you had to be both for us and you did a great job. Just something sweet like that. Sweet. Yeah, because I did do both. I was,
Yeah, you have
and
to
so,
be both.
So where are your kids?
Yeah, tell us. That's one thing that every young widow with children wonders here. Be reassured.
Sounds like they're
adulting.
Kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jacob, and he's the one who was in the accident. He is married, has a house and a dog, and he's doing
How old is
great.
he now?
He's 20. He'll be 25 this year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and he is working. Actually, he's working in breast cancer research. He really wants to be in neuroscience, but even after all the brain
injuries,
he was a brainiac. Yeah.
So where does he live?
He's outside the Houston area. He's in Spring, and so he works at Baylor College of Medicine, and so and he's I think going to apply for grad school in the fall. And he's married to a lovely accountant. And so anyway, they're
a lovely accountant.
They're fine. And then my middle one's going to graduate from UT Dallas. And he is an ultra trail runner, like 100-mile trail runner.
Wow.
He's very athletic and he just does all those things. And he's doing well. And he is going to graduate with electrical engineering degree. Wow. So he's doing well. And then Rebecca, the baby, she is going to start her second year at UNT. So she'll be in college there. So
University of North Texas.
Yeah. So she's going to be a teacher and
following her mama's footsteps.
I know. She learned nothing from me.
So we get a lot of mail from widows, even recently, because we have an insiders group on Facebook, just a group where people can come together and ask questions and talk, and more of a personalized support group, right? Anyone can join as long as have a widow or, you've lost a spouse, widow or widower.
Or connection.
Yeah.
In some way.
Yes.
As long as you can answer the questions.
You have to answer some questions. If you don't answer the questions, we can't let you in because there's scams and bots and all the things.
Oh, for sure.
But it's called Every Widow Thing Insiders. It's on Facebook. But just recently we had somebody that I could feel the panic in the message of just like, I can't find a therapist. I can't find a therapist for my kids. Like, what am I going to do? They need help. And I just felt so bad because I remember that feeling. And it's kind of like what you said, you're trying to control things, but we don't always have control. And, she got a lot of good advice, but did your children get a lot of therapy? Did others not? Like, tell us that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say that Jacob, the oldest, did a lot of therapy in the beginning, I'm sure. Because he was being followed he was on all kinds of drugs for the brain injury and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and because of the suicidal tendencies, he needed
he had that year of whatever, and then he has not had any therapy. And we've had multiple conversations. Like, it's hard for him to come back home. Mm-hmm. It's hard for him to see the house because things have changed, right? Clay's moved in and we've moved things around. It's very hard for him. And he acknowledges that he still comes, but it's hard for him.
That's good that he acknowledges
He does. And I'm like, this is why you have to do your grief work. I'm like, and as your mother, I'm telling you, and I'm really sorry it's hard for you, but you still have to come see me. So
but what I find interesting is it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I guess I find that interesting because I go into my parents' home. My dad died 2 months after my husband.
Oh, that's right.
But I go into my mom's house and like everything's the same and everything's like a shrine to my dad. And I can't. Like, I don't like to go over there.
But would you say
she would change things?
But would you say that, I know you redid your kitchen, but like, other than that, isn't everything like the pictures that I have up, I put up when I moved in and I never even think about it. And even recently I was like, oh shit, every picture is like little babies. I need to get some more recent photos. But would you say you've changed your house a lot?
Not a lot. I mean, I don't have a
ton of photos of Toby all around. And
no, not really. And I have changed, like the shelf unit I have, I've changed.
Yeah.
My bedroom, not so much, but it's my bedroom.
Yeah, of course. And having the remodel of the kitchen changes the whole
and one
feel
of the
house. Yeah.
I don't know, but maybe
But I wonder if you went, I don't know if this, but I wonder if you went into your mom's house and things were different, you'd be like, you changed it.
I know.
Like, I wonder how you would feel.
That's true.
Well, and I don't think if we kept it exactly the same, it'd be easier for Jacob. I think.
No, it's just another man in his dad's home.
And I don't think it, I mean, and honestly, I don't even know if I didn't have another person living there. Like, I think I think it'd just be hard for him. And this is the other thing too. Like so Jacob, nothing. Matthew, I took him to therapy and he would sit and he'd be like,
he wouldn't say
nothing.
Anything.
And I mean, he's like, I'm good. Like, and he's not good, right? But he's not, and you cannot make someone
force
do that.
it.
And so we stopped until he was in 6th grade when Wally died, and he did not go back to therapy till he was in 12th grade.
Okay.
And he was like, I'm ready. I need to do this.
Wow.
And so
that's
he
good.
knew, right? And then Rebecca has been in therapy since she was like 5 because she's had so this girl, like she could be a therapist. She's and so she has just continued and she's had
You're like,
therapy.
are you really getting anything out of it?
That's how I am.
just
like, do I still need to pay for this?
Yeah.
No, but
funny.
one of the things that I want to tell widows out there or widowers or anybody dealing with grief when having children that are dealing with grief, it's okay. We do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't find a good therapist, do not force a bad therapist because that can do a ton of damage. And remember that just being an example of how to grieve in a healthy way, sharing your own feelings, being open to hearing what they have to say, all of those things are therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. My middle son didn't want to do therapy either. And I forced him and his brother to go. And, he came back and he's like, I don't know why I need this. So the second therapy session, we go in and I go with them. And he, I said, he's wondering why he needs to do this. He thinks he doesn't need it. Now, I was blessed because our therapist was the head of Dell's psychology department or whatever. And he was a widower. And so it was like, I felt like I won the lottery because he had lived it, right? Which makes a huge difference. And he said, maybe he doesn't right now. If he's making good grades, if he has a friend group, if he's being physically active, if he's getting outside, if you don't see any alarming behavior, then maybe he doesn't need it. And that also can be an answer. Mm-hmm. So I feel the stress of these new widows trying to manage everything and fix everything.
I think a lot of them feel like, I felt like I had to. And both of my boys, so both of them did it like the first year. Ish, maybe not quite a year. And Zach has been in and out over the last 8 years. But both of them have told me, you made me do it. And I went because you made me go and I didn't get anything out of it. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if I agree with them not getting anything out of it, but it's just interesting now that they're grown and they're like, I just went because you made me go.
Yeah. And it depends on the age group too, I think. When they're 6, 7, they're not resisting. Mm-hmm. When you are trying to get a middle schooler 12. Or preteen or teenager to do anything, there's going to be pushback and then there's not going to be a lot that you can take from
and in defense of the kids, and I feel like as someone who's been in therapy a lot, I will have like a list and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to see my therapist on Monday. I got to think, dip.
Yeah.
Literally, they're there and they're like, no, I feel okay right now. And they really do feel okay right now. Right. And so they don't even have that.
Or my kid uses it as like a gossip session of like, you won't believe what happened this week, and I'm like, well, get some strategies. Like, what are we doing here?
I know. And the therapists are only as good as the information given. And so I feel like, I agree with you. Like, I think sometimes it's okay to breathe, but you don't know that. Like, you read all these statistics and you think your kids are going to like go off the deep end and, and honestly, I will tell you that nothing looks the way I thought it would look. And my kids will often say, how different do you think things would be if dad were alive? I think they'd be very different, but I don't know exactly how, but I do think like at some point when you kind of stop and you breathe and you go, okay, everybody's alive. They're following their path and their ups and downs, mistakes and successes. But it's like, I think that's when you can just like go, okay.
That's where I think faith comes in. And just if you have that belief that there's something bigger than yourself that is helping and managing and that there's a greater good involved, then it kind of gives you, a little relief of like, okay, I don't have to bear this, all on my own.
Well, I think you even said this. I feel like it's something that you taught me, but that, and this is again part of my faith tradition, but I talked to Wally a lot, and like Matthew was running a 100-mile trail run in Montana with bears, and I was like, bears. And I was like, and at some point I knew he'd been eaten by a bear because he went off his little tracker. And, but I was like talking to Wally, and I'm like, you get your ass over there and you better be there because I can't. And you go. Yeah. And I feel like I remember you saying at one point that you felt like maybe Hunter could do more.
He was better
over there than he was here. And that stuck with me. And he could over the years.
More for me over there than he can here, which again, it depends on your belief system. But for me, that makes total sense. They are their brightest light. They have none of this heavy earthly stuff. They only have the brightest light, the most unconditional love, the peace, and, and can be their full self. And they see the entire puzzle. They don't just see a little piece of it, know?
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah, it helps me.
And this is like, so when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, just 2 years after Wally died, I mean, I was mad. I was so mad. I was like, and I have a very strong faith in God. And I was like, we had words and they were not good words.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no,
You said the F word a couple of times.
Oh my gosh. And you should never put those two words together in a sentence. No, you can't. But I remember like getting the feeling that, and I think it was one of those things where they never should have found my cancer and they did. And it was, I don't even know if it was a friend of mine or if it was me hearing Wally's voice, but it was like, I was screaming and I was like, are you kidding me? Like now my kids are going to have two dead parents and I gotta, and it was one of those, how do you think they found it? Right. Because they shouldn't have found it and they did. Wow. And so like, it's one of those things where, I hold on to that too, and I tell the kids that I'm like, I know he's not with us, but he's here. And I do believe that. And so,
All right. One last question, because we've kept you so long, but how have you changed for the better in these experiences, or have you?
I know I have. I feel like I'm stronger. I feel like I don't sweat the small stuff so much. I feel like, in some ways, like my parenting totally changed. And my friends will tell you that. They're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, you're like, whoa, before this you were, but, and I think I like find joy in a lot more.
Which is interesting because grief, people that are listening right now can't imagine ever feeling joy again, know?
Well, and this goes back to when we lost Anna. I remember I was writing at the time and I wrote something and it was like, you cannot see this world. So I'm going to let you see it through my eyes. Like I am going to live a better life because of you. And so I think I took that with me. And then I think the same thing is kind of true. And I think, I look 10 years later and I'm like, I am actually about to celebrate not only my first wedding anniversary, but my second anniversary of being cancer-free again.
Oh, yay!
So
we'll drink to that.
Yeah. Cheers. Clink. Let's make sure we can hear that. So I do feel like, and I didn't want to go through all that by myself, but it's like, and I never did it by myself because of my support system and, the tribe that we have. But it's, I like who I am. Yeah. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for who I am now. And so I guess we just don't get to choose what life throws at us. Right. And so, but we can choose what we do with it. And I don't want, someone once after Wally died, I think it was like somebody who was at our vet or something and was like, oh, she was such a bright light. And I was like, I'm still that light. I'm still going to be that light. And if I have to be the light for somebody else, but there is light and I'm not going to I'm not going to say it didn't go dim for a while. I did. It's my nature to just kind of get a little I go a little hermity when I'm like, but I'm like, I'm going to keep being that light. And I think that's like, again, we know life is super short. So and I think the other thing too, is that to look back over the 10 years and I remember how I felt. And that's when I like to say, it doesn't always feel like this. Like this I'm about to, like, I can't, it hurts to breathe and I just want the pain to stop. It doesn't always feel like that. I don't know when it goes away for each person.
Yeah, you just have to hold on and do your work. I mean, I love how when the kids are having issues with certain things, you're just like, you know what? That's your own grief work that you have to do.
Yeah, that's a good
I
way
cannot
to put that.
fix that for you. And I'm not going to dim my own light. I'm not going to take happiness away from me. I deserve a full life. And I love you, and you're still coming home.
And you better come see your mom.
And you're still going to come see me. Yeah. I love it. Deb, I love you so much.
Oh, thank
you for spending all this time.
Nice to meet you. Oh, it's so nice to meet you.
I hope you finish your book, Where Are the Fucking Passwords? And we'll have you back on.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great. Thanks so much.